We gotta hurry up and get here.
The number's capped. I don't even think it's settlement cap. Yeah. If a settlement comes from it, great. But the 30 is
headline.
We want to move forward.
Right.
I haven't heard the story where they demand the 30 and it's...
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Scores and Assists, where we break down the latest headlines and bring you fresh takes on everything sports and culture. From trending news to game highlights and hot debates, we've got it all. Hit the subscribe button and stay in the loop. So 300 Entertainment co-founder Kevin Liles has denied sexual assault allegations made by rapper Lady Luck. Liles released a statement on Tuesday claiming the former Def Jam artist engaged in a $30 million extortion plot against him earlier this month. According to Liles, Jones and her team threatened to release a book and file a lawsuit filled with false and horrendous allegations if he didn't pay them $30 million. He continued to deny allegations that she was groomed after signing nearly 26 years ago with Def Jam.
All right. Where you want to go?
Do we want to start with controversy? I mean, all this court shit. I feel like we kind of have to. I kind of want to get it out the way. How y'all feel about it?
I'm
down. I'm talking specifically about this Kevin Liles thing.
Okay.
What's going on with Kevin Liles?
Another lawsuit. Let me pull it up. It's Kevin Liles has been accused, as seems to be the string in the business for the last 5-6 years of people getting accused of sexual misconduct. This one is from Lady Luck, and this one surprised me for a few reasons. But Kevin Liles has responded. If you go to his Instagram, you can see the full explanation.
He's how I learned about it.
That's an interesting way to think about it.
He posted this. I didn't see it posted anywhere when he posted his response.
Yeah.
But I could be off. So
it was places, but it didn't live nowhere big. Because again, it's the platform size thing, which is a lesson. Sometimes we make things stories by responding when if you don't say anything, it might not be. And I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying if he responding, he been around long enough. Somebody told him we're posting this day. This might get hot. True. That's fair.
Well, before you read the response, like cliff notes of what she's accusing him. Yeah, accusing when, where, what kind of situation.
So this is for context. This is an artist that he signed in 1999.
Damn.
It's Lady Luck.
It's Lady Luck.
Shout out to Lady Luck.
We all know.
So and this lawsuit actually happened months ago. That's the other thing. I believe it was in the end of February that it came. So it might be one of those things where we all heard about it and then it passed.
I remember it.
Yeah, and we didn't say anything about it. And
this
honestly,
was my first time hearing it.
I've never heard it.
Mine's too.
Yeah, don't try to put us in the... We heard it, but we were quiet. We didn't hear it.
No, not quiet. I mean, like, I forgot. I knew he got sued before. I didn't know who sued him. So I'm saying I didn't know the details.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm saying I'm making the connection. Oh, that was the shit from a few months ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know who it was. I just knew that he was sued because when I first saw the lawsuit, it was under her government name. Oh. So I didn't make the connection to even who it was, but the argument was because it was a Jane Doe at one point as well. Anyway, that he sexually assaulted her during her employment at Def Jam in the early 2000s. This was the argument. That was sexual assault and that happened over a period of time. So that's what makes this interesting. For the last year or so, I've heard Lady Luck make allegations about her time in the business and all the things that's happened to her, but she didn't explicitly say Kevin Liles. Then I also heard Kevin Liles was accused of sexual misconduct a few months ago, didn't connect that it was her, and so now the dots are connecting a little bit. What Kevin Liles has effectively said in his post, which is very long, I mean, it's like 3 or 4 slides on Instagram, small print, it's like a full statement, is that, first, of course, it's not true, he's saying that he was told that you can pay $30 million or this lawsuit is going to move forward. He points out all the times where she has said that he was a friend to her, a brother to her. He points out her happy birthday posts. He points to all the support he gave her as an artist.
That she still communicates with the entire family, or has as recently as March 2025.
And not like distant family, like father, sister, like close family.
She says she called my mother mom, my father pops. She called my sister her sister, and her lifelong friend. So he's making it clear like there's a real relationship with not just me, my family here too.
Right. And then the last beat of it is that he offers a kind of what is both empathy and a kind of defense. He says, I understand what she's going through. I know she's been through a lot in this industry. I know she's had issues with substance abuse, mental health issues, etc. So he lays it out in a way that sounds like he's being sympathetic, but also
laying the groundwork
for saying, hey, she's crazy and I don't know why she would make this up. And he's not saying gray area, we got our signals crossed. He's saying this is a complete fabrication. I'm not saying he's right. I'm simply saying that's the case he's laid out. And it's an interesting argument because in theory, everything that he wrote could be true, and he still could have done what she accused him of doing. And conversely, he could not have. I don't know the story well. I don't know their lives well enough to know anything personal inside. But this is big, and this is messy, and this is a sign that this thing isn't going anywhere. A lot of people thought that the era of people making lawsuits, the era of people saying 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 10 weeks ago, something happened to me was going to pass. It was going to be a fad. But in the kind of post-Me Too era, which I'm actually happy about, people are still being courageous about telling their stories, and people are still coming forward when things have happened to them. Again, I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying this isn't going anywhere. This is not a phase, and anything that's happened in this business is probably going to come to light more and more over the next few years.
Is this the only case or allegations against Kevin Liles? Because you said that we heard this before. Is she the person that popped it off against him?
To my knowledge, yes. But
Okay.
I can't say with certainty. What I thought was a second case actually was her going from Jane Doe status to a public.
But if it was back in February, then that means she still reached out to the family in March. So that's what he's trying to.
That's what he's saying, yes.
Got it, okay.
And again, I can't say whether that's true or not. I don't know. But that's what he issued in his statement. So I just want to be very clear.
I'm reading here that the other one that was filed by Jane Doe earlier this year, that was a separate case.
There was a separate case.
That was a separate
Okay,
case.
this is a second. Okay,
good. That's what I want to know.
I think we should at least read. I think it's one of his earlier paragraphs that says everything that she's alleging.
All right, I got it right here. Says here that she threatened to publish a book and file a public lawsuit if he didn't pay the $30 million. She threatened to allege that almost 26 years ago, when signed as a recording artist to Def Jam, she was groomed. She also threatened to allege that I exposed myself to her and pushed her head towards my genitalia in an attempt to force her to perform oral sex while she was allegedly sitting in the driver's seat of my car. So those are the allegations that he said that are going to be alleged against him.
How do we feel about this distinguished panel? Mel, what is your thoughts on these allegations and the fact that Kevin Liles actually is trying to get ahead of it?
Well, I think he should.
Okay.
I absolutely think that he should try he should try to get ahead of it, because the court of public opinion, people are going to form their opinions regardless of what you do. And I think that Jay-Z kind of set an example about being proactive about,
False allegations.
not just false allegations, but like just being very vocal about your innocence in the situation.
Gotcha, okay.
And like Marcus said in the past, like my default is to want to believe victims.
Yes.
However, $30 million is
It's a big number.
it's a big number. Like, am I using the word punitive like incorrectly here?
No. I get what you're saying.
Okay.
But I need to understand the correlation of
Because
why.
it just seems like it's a strange number to choose, but it almost seems like it's a number that has been influenced by a lot of what we're seeing right now.
It sounds like it's the rate.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's the fucking going rate right now.
Yeah.
And I understand pain and suffering. I understand, emotional damage. I understand all of that. I have existed in this business for a very long time. I've had things happen to me as well. So I understand the desire to have kept it quiet, and the shame and embarrassment and whatever else feelings are associated with this. But
Mel, let me ask you a question.
go ahead.
If you I know where you're going. If you knew that she were telling the truth, what number would you feel comfortable with?
It's hard to say. Honestly, it's hard to say. It's hard to put a number on what you consider to be your pain and suffering, and the length of pain and suffering that you have, had to deal with over, set amount of years, decades, or whatever the case is. But when I'm reading what she's charging him with, it's excessive. It's excessive. It seems, and this is just
The
solely
monetary amount.
Yes, the monetary amount. It's excessive, and I feel like it sets a really bad precedent. There's already people who are going to look at situations like this. There's people who look at Cassie like that was a money grab and that's all it was. You know what I'm saying? So in situations like this, it starts to it really muddies the waters in terms of, impact on victim versus what it is that they're trying to get in order to feel some level of wholeness.
You sound like you don't believe her.
I'm not. That's what I preface this by saying. My default is to always believe victims. However, you take into account the maintenance of ancillary relationships with this person's family.
Somebody can say that about Cassie too.
But wait, hold on, wait. I got a question. Are you saying this? Are you familiar with this?
No.
You're not familiar with him?
No.
You're not friends with him or anything?
No.
I just want to be clear. Okay.
No. It just passing. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. So
Like,
you're just basing this off of what you read and what you deduced of what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the 30 number is, we're shooting at a high enough number to make you just want to get in and
So we
settle
can
this.
settle for 5.
I don't care what, we don't have any intention of getting 30 or anything close to 30. We know we're not going to get that. But if it's something about that number 30 today, 30 million, it just.
You're
all
right.
We
You're
gotta hurry
absolutely
up and
right.
get here.
If I settle for 30,
the number's capped. I don't even think it's settlement cap. If a settlement comes from it, great. But the 30 is
Headline.
We want to move forward.
Right.
I haven't heard the story where they demand the 30 and it's paid in the next week. The reaction 99% of times is going to be, man, if you don't get the fuck out of here, I might have to flip my entire life upside down and just pay you 30. Niggas ain't doing that. I think they be wanting to move forward, which is why oftentimes we're not even getting to the mediator part. We're moving forward if you stall.
Right. Yeah. This is an interesting case
Because that's going to help the settlement. I think after I move forward, now your tone is going to be,
how do I make this go away?
Yeah.
And he's jumped out. He launched the website, LadyLuxOwnWords.com, and it's basically just highlighting, like in his letter he puts, or in his statement, he says numerous years she said this on podcasts about me, and just how positive, even to this day. He put it all on his website.
That could backfire on him. He specifically.
I don't think that helps.
He specifically pointed out that in 2016, 2022, and 2023, she denied any inappropriate sexual interactions with older men, which he's saying is contradicted by what she's saying now. I get what he's doing, and if you're innocent, I understand why you'd have the impulse to find every shred of evidence to prove your innocence. Guilty people do this too. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, if it becomes overkill and it looks like you're being too aggressive and you're attacking her too much, it could turn people off. It could make people distrustful. I don't know. I think there's 3 pieces. There's people who can believe that he did it and are upset. People who don't believe it and say throw it away. There are also going to be people who are going to read what he's alleged to have done and say, okay.
Like they don't care, or
Yeah,
they
like
could
that's
have
not
seen
that
it.
big. Like it's not a big enough deal to warrant a $30 million lawsuit. I'm not saying I don't feel that way, but I'm saying a lot of people do.
And
feel that way.
and so just to be
Like he tried to
clear,
get some head in the car 30 years ago, and like that's how a lot of people are going to read.
And just to be clear, that's basically what I was trying to get to, is the fact that some people are going to regard this as a and kind of situation,
Right.
You know, in the grand scheme of, in comparison,
In
say,
comparison to some of the other cases we have seen.
Yes,
Which
this is-
are horrific and have been video documented.
But wouldn't that contradict
So, but, yeah,
all the
contradict
shit that y'all
your
tell me
statement,
about power
Sam,
dynamics?
that's what I was
Contradict
about.
shit we
I'm
had
sitting
this
here-
talk.
I said I don't feel that way, but I'm saying that I think it might be a hard time to get a jury to believe, to care enough, especially given the culture we live
Yes.
in, to feel that it's worth that. I'm not saying
But then
that.
but it contradicts what we've been saying
Yes.
up here. When you've been saying that we should always believe victims. I know you're saying I know
the
you saying
trauma-
you don't feel that way, but saying going into that. So now we're giving caveats to the situation.
No, there's no
it's
contradiction
not.
there. I'm saying we should believe victims. I'm saying that a lot of people don't believe victims, and I'm saying in this case, I think that's going to play out.
So
a lot of people aren't going to believe her.
And now you saying that because the act is less atrocious?
Yeah, I'm saying because we normalize sexual harassment so much.
Is there a victim spectrum to y'all?
I was about to say I don't understand how we
Yes.
are grading trauma on a curve.
Yeah,
oh, shit, man.
No,
But we're
no.
not.
No, we're
Mel
not.
just said that the $30 million suit that she is filing is too much money. So if this young lady felt as though, and again, I'm just totally objective, you can't necessarily say, yo, because such and such might have fucked her in the ass and made her do XYZ, then that is worth more than what this particular
I
piece
think
of
you
trauma
can.
is worth.
I think
Who
you
the
can.
fuck is the judge to do that?
The jury, the judge, and the jury. That's the
No,
point.
I'm saying us as
No, as saying you even
Yeah, what are you
asking for
talking
too
about?
much
This is what I'm
out
saying.
the gate.
If you got hit, if you got hit by a car and lost and broke your leg, someone else got hit by a car and lost their leg. I can't speak to how you experienced the broken leg, but what I can say is, as a juror or as a person watching the jury,
You judge that the loss of the leg to be worse than the broken leg.
it's a greater loss.
It
right?
is, but I still think it's apples and oranges when you start coming down to emotional trauma and emotional stress. You can't put my emotional stress and my emotional trauma or how I respond to something on a scale as easily as a broken leg versus a lost leg.
I agree. I don't think you can do it as easily. I'm just saying
think you
the jury
can.
ultimately has to do that, though.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah,
with
we're not even
what
talking
they
about the
have.
jury, though.
We're not talking
We
about
didn't
a
even get
jury.
to a jury
We're talking,
yet.
we're talking about how you could say that this person is charging too much money for their emotional distress.
All I'm saying is relative to if Cassie's worth $30 million.
Says who? Says who?
That's what we got.
I'm establishing it as an arbitrary standard based on the fact that that's what she asked for.
Yes.
And she was awarded allegedly something close to it.
Close to that. So I'm saying if they
Wasn't
gave,
an award,
20,
it was
even better.
settled.
Settle. Okay.
Even
That's not
better.
an award.
All right.
Even better. If Cassie settled for 20 and we say, all right, that's our baseline. It doesn't have to be, but it is. Then it would be hard for me to say if Cassie's experience is a baseline of 20,
Yo, an abuse baseline is nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
but that's how courts work. That's the problem with the system.
Hey,
No,
I agree
can't-
with you.
You can't say that Cassie's settlement number is what this other person's settlement number should be less because she took this. You can't say that.
And I'm not saying should. I'm making a practical assessment of how it actually is going to play out.
Yeah.
I want them all to get as much as they deserve, as much as they want. I don't care. I have no sympathy for the person spending the money who did the harm. I'm just saying, as a practical matter, when you come to somebody and say, I want 30 million, knowing that Cassie just got 20, or knowing that so-and-so got 50 or 10 or whatever, I'm just saying that to me, there's a strategy in that.
I agree.
And you do walk in basing it, just like you do all negotiations, based on what the market gives. I think it is perverse that we base emotional trauma on the market, but in a capitalist system, that's what you do, unfortunately. So
how do we advance this talk about this point of circuit?
yeah, I think the only thing moving forward is for me was just to say again, we're going to see a lot more of this.
Tons.
True, untrue, fake, false, 100% accurate. We're going to see a lot more of it. I don't know. Do you think the industry is going to move differently because of this culture, or are we just going to see a lot more payouts for the next 10, 20 years?
I think we're going to see a lot more payouts. And that was what I was trying to say, is that it seems like this 30 million is the baseline that is being created. Whether or not we judge it to be correct or incorrect, too much, too little, or whatever the case is, that the fact of the matter is, like, a baseline seems to be created, and it's just like there's like what's the mathematics here for it? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think there are none.
There are none. I don't think there are none at all.
We're going back into the circle, though.
No, and I don't want to. I just wanted to, make the point that was what I was trying to say earlier in the conversation, and then also about, the maintenance of the relationship with the family and the comparison to Cassie. I feel like that in itself is apples and oranges.
Way
like,
off.
It's totally different because this was Cassie is alleging in her testimony that she was groomed and that this was like
That's what she's saying.
and that this was an ongoing.
But Cassie was his girlfriend.
I know, and this was an ongoing, physical, mental, emotional, psychological captivity situation. That is not this.
I hear that. So let's think about the next part of this, though, which was my question about how do we move forward? What does the culture look like moving forward? How are relationships different? What's going to be different now?
I think that there's some inherent generational differences that are going to be just on display just because younger people think different than older people. Some of these people that have been accused of these heinous shit are from a different world where men in power do whatever the fuck they want, and I think we'll see less of it just based on that alone. And I do think that also people are going to be scared of getting sued for $30 million.
The scary part is,
Well, if you was wilding and if you have $30 million, and which is a small sector of men.
very small.
Right.
But it's people that got 300,000. It's people that got 100,000. People that got 500,000. You get what I'm saying? 30 is a different type of number, right? Like Smokey got getting sued for
Is
50.
there a way that we would ever see those stories publicized where the number is that of a $250,000 and $300,000 win?
They may not be public, but that still don't mean that might start to be a trend.
Got
Like
it.
the trend trickles down.
Got
So
it.
the girl that
I get it.
can't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
like,
get it.
And I'm seeing that a lot now when I speak at corporations and I talk about DEI, we talk about corporate behavior. A lot of people are talking about the boss gets sued personally, the company's getting sued, as is Def Jam in this case, and they're getting sued for those $50, $100, $200,000. It's happening a lot right now. It's actually quite interesting, more so than the Kevin Lyles situation.
Yeah, because once we see them get a bag, it's like, word?
that?
That motherfucker tried to do that 50 times
Right.
4 years ago. Like, he was smacking me on my ass when I would come in his office every day. So I think that it's basically starting to give more women the courage to come forward and really claim some shit that they might have been going through for the last 15, 20 years in corporate. I'm not against that. What I do see, what I think is going to start happening though, is from the male's perspective, my nigga, you kind of got to be careful. You should be careful, period, where you put your dick. But I'm saying, like, when you get 20 something years old, or you single, or you're a man in power, you're not necessarily that displaying that level of discernment.
Not
You
even
know what I'm
a little
saying?
bit.
When you're a single man, like
Back then, absolutely
Yeah.
not. There was absolutely
I agree.
there was no
Sure.
fucking discernment. There was no
Back
HR.
then, today,
no,
single niggas is
I
running
understand,
around.
but we're talking about cases that
In the
are
industry.
being presented from decades ago, and women are coming forward now, and. You know, I can speak from the standpoint of having been there. There was no HR. These were fucking treacherous, shark-infested fucking waters. It was survival of the fucking fittest. And I think that also what's happened is, I feel like consent should have been like the word of like 2022 or 2021 or whatever the fact is, whatever year that it started to be used so consistently, because our vocabulary has changed. Our understanding of what consent is has changed. Nobody was saying that fucking word back then. You know what I'm saying? The understanding as a woman being in this business, in front of the camera, behind the camera, was that you were chum for the sharks, and either you found a way to survive. So the fact of the matter is there is going to be certain circumstances in which chickens are coming home to fucking roost, and your behavior was predatory then, and you got to pay for it now.
It's consent and it's power and the culture to me all connected. So, for example, committing a sexual act where somebody doesn't want to do it, that's the part where we all kind of be like, all right, yeah, we know that's not cool. But 30 years ago, asking your artist for a blowjob, unfortunately, wasn't considered out of bounds. It was out of bounds to force them to give you a blowjob, but to ask them for one, and they had a right to say yes or no. And in the culture of the music business, and really corporate America in general, but especially in the music business, was you could do that. So part of what it is applying today's rules to 30 years ago. And I'm not justifying the behavior. I'm just saying we have to have an honest conversation about the culture of institutions and organizations to understand how we got here.
Yep.
Otherwise, it sounds like this random dude is just walking around doing wild shit. When in
quote
fact,
unquote power dynamics didn't exist necessarily back then as a
Understanding
We didn't
of
know
what
it
they
existed.
were.
Yeah, as a term.
Yeah.
pretty. Your secretary was pretty. You shot. She accepted. It was like, yo, this is consensual. We were dating, and I was
Even
hitting
from
it.
the rip, niggas hired the secretary
true.
because
That
she
is
was
true.
pretty.
Right.
That was part of the.
I think that's
You know what I mean?
really, really scary, murky waters to be treading in.
Yeah.
Y'all having a great talk, so I ain't about to come in and say some bullshit or take it first.
I want to hear it.
It's a learned behavior.
Say more.
You think?
It's a learned behavior.
I know.
He was, I mean,
Say
you were
more.
there.
It's not a coincidence that every black mogul, for the most part, in the music business is dealing with this.
Take it off music. Because this
Well,
happens.
I'm in entertainment.
Gotcha.
I'm not talking about the rest of the world. I'm in entertainment. That's what I'm talking about. This is not only happening with black moguls in the entertainment business, and each one of them came up under somebody. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not even really having to talk. But it is a learned behavior. All of them. All of them. From every one of them. You're just not going to hear about where they learned it from. And I'm not trying to...
Not necessarily.
Wait,
I
please,
disagree.
please, I don't want to sound like I'm
Go ahead.
excusing it either. So,
Yeah, I think that.
It's something else that could be at play there too, is which we see even today with a nigga who just wasn't him in high school or when he was coming up.
Right.
And now you get to that level, now it's entitlement kick in. Like now it's like Nigga, y'all owe me for what I couldn't get back then. Now I'm gonna make y'all pay damn near. Now
think it's all those things.
a
I think those two things combined.
It's a lot of niggas that behave like that, yo.
Yeah, it's a lot of different things. I think, because again, you just speaking from a music perspective, I think in corporate America, I think in Wall Street, I think in politics, I got some friends in politics. It's going on in the political arena as well.
It's just not as publicized.
They're just not.
because it's
They're not just
exciting,
public figures,
you know.
so we don't know that it's going on when this senator or this congressman
Or the
whoever-
CEO or
yeah,
whatever
like that
goes
shit
on.
is it's everywhere. I think that men of power have a certain level of entitlement, and when they see beautiful women, they feel like they can exercise that power in the manner that they see fit. I don't think that it's foreign or it's just exclusive to the music business at
But
all.
that's why I think we have to look at the systems. It's just like back in the 90s when we were looking for the gay rapper. It was as if there was just one, as opposed to understanding the culture was built in a way where there's lots of queer folk there as artists, as set designers, as everything. Any job, there was a gay person there. But we didn't want to accept that as a culture. If we keep looking for the predator producer or the predator CEO, we lose sight of the fact that it's a predatory industry.
True, VPs and
Yeah.
directors and all
It's
of
just a
them.
predatory business, and people are always looking to get a leg up, either because they couldn't get it in high school, or because they could and they want more, or because they saw their mentor do it. All the factors are part of it, but we got to have an honest.
If you can recognize it's a predatory business, then why can't you recognize the people that put in the predatory business practices?
I think it goes back
I think
so
we need to.
far.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying let's get. I'm with you. I'm saying go past puffing them. Go past all of
Yeah.
it. Let's get to the heart of it. That's the culture part of it.
Yeah, and part of the culture is also everybody else's. Part of the culture is the hero worship. The hero worship also is a massive symptom to the fucking problem. I just watched the Brett Favre Untold. I don't know if y'all saw that.
No.
That shit was fucking wild.
What was wild about it?
Well, so we all know.
'Cause I saw it.
Okay. What was wild about it was there was this sideline reporter named Jen Steger, and Brett Favre decided that he liked her, and he started to solicit her attention anonymously at first, and then he got her phone number through the head office. They gave it to him. This is when he was with the Jets, and he started to contact her. She made it clear she had absolutely no interest in him whatsoever. The great Brett Favre. And everybody would be like, oh, well, of course. No, she had no interest. And she was terrified that she now had his attention in a way that she didn't want it, because she knew that this was going to end badly for her. And it did. Her career is fucking over. He sent her a dick pic and whatever else, and then the story comes out a little bit later about his, about his unwanted advances. I forget what the magazine is that she worked with at the time, but she confided in the editor. Deadspin. She confided in the editor, who was her friend.
She was sharing tea.
She was sharing tea. Expected that this was an off-the-record fucking it was an off-the-record conversation between two.
You know where you work. It's Deadspin. Deadspin is the wild, wild west of all of that sports commentary shit. Deadspin posts the superstar athletes sending dick pics. They don't focus on the stats.
I understand that, but when you are having,
You're talking to the editor or the owner.
I
whoever
get it. I get it, but if you, listen, I get it, but if you are having an off-the-record fucking
With your friend.
conversation with your friend,
Off the record, it's just a ploy.
She might have thought they was friends.
Even if you did, that's very naive on her part.
That's not true, bro.
Bro, if I know what this company does, let's just take it. I know what the company do. I know what they're about.
She
And I
writes.
know
She
who-
writes for Deadspin. This is her colleague. I would, if I'm having a conversation with you, Ice, I am going to have this expectation. It's sitting over there that you're not going to get on Twitter and start writing. Oh, Mel said this. Mel said that. I have that
Got you. Okay.
expectation
Correct.
of you.
Now,
correct.
if our business was to talk about whatever it is that you're talking about, right? That's what our business. That's what our brand is based. That's what we do. And you come in here and say something, then expect, well, damn, how did that get out? Why? Like
You're asking the National Enquirer not to post something.
Yeah.
Post about something.
So this,
Yes, you have
that's
a right to do that.
That is the side
Yes,
that you
there's
guys.
still the National Enquirer.
not saying I would do it, but I'm
Yes.
just saying.
But go ahead.
The expectation is kind of low there.
I would have expected my friend to have a little
I
bit
agree.
more
I would.
integrity. You know what I'm
Personally,
saying?
I
So,
would.
anyways, he basically says, "Oh, well, fuck that. I'm printing it." And so that was how the world started or found out about these inappropriate text messages that Brett Favre was sending to this girl, and the fact that she
And he paid her.
who.
The Deadspin. They paid the girl for the story.
No, I didn't see that in.
Yes, that was in the doc. It was in.
It was
She sold the story.
They paid
After the fact?
I want
After the fact.
after the
Oh,
fact.
that's different though.
She was
You
not
trying to make me whole
She was
is not
not. She
paying
was.
me for
Yeah.
my
She was
story.
not soliciting any
no.
attention for this story. She did not sell the story. She didn't want anybody
That's
to
what
know
yeah.
because she knew that this was going to be
Career
harmful
suicide.
to career suicide, and it was. Now, how do we regard Brett Favre as still the fucking gunslinging fucking hero that everybody perceives him to be?
Except when he stole that money from. But go ahead.
Yeah, but
Yeah, we don't regard him that way.
A lot of people
no, but a
regard
lot
it
of
as a-
people still do. The fucking statue in fucking Green Bay hasn't been taken down. He can walk in the stadium and get a fucking standing ovation. I'm talking about hero worship here.
His
And
statue got to get taken down because he sent a dick pic.
no, I'm talking about the scandal in fucking Mississippi, stealing from the fucking
stealing
poor.
from the wealthy.
That's what that welfare.
Yeah,
That shit was disgusting.
He has plausible deniability in that too.
He has- there's-
from what they show. on the
again,
doc.
there's text
I still think
messages.
he's a piece of shit. So,
Again, there's text
Agreed.
messages
but how
there.
you interpret those text messages is different. He said, "Hey, is there any way I can get in trouble for this?" Which was interpreted as he was well aware that
I
he
knew
knew
what was
crimes were
going
going
on.
on.
Yeah.
There's another way to interpret.
That is true.
Hey, is there
Hey,
any
is
way
this
I
some
can get in
fuck
trouble
shit?
for
Like-
doing this, getting this money? It don't have to go that way. Is all I'm saying. Depends on how you see it.
Okay. Well, I choose to see it the way that a lot of people see it. That he understood where this money was
was
coming from,
complicit.
and very complicit.
Got it.
So,
I got him as a piece of shit too, but he wasn't doing nothing different than most of these colleges are and have been doing for a long time.
Which is the point I'm making.
Yeah, the point you
across
keep
the,
making,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like, and we see it with every congressman I know who go to jail. And I can name at least 3 congressmen I know two of whom I work with directly who went to jail for corruption and taking bribes. Yeah, they did it. They did the same thing that every other member of Congress does.
And they just got caught.
They either got caught or were less slick or they got watched more.
Or they crossed somebody that was like, oh, word.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, so I'm just saying, like, all these institutions are corrupt, and at some point we got to get past it. But that's a social question. That's what I keep saying. The desire to be like these unaccountable white men who are never going to be held accountable the way we are is something we got to work through
They
too.
set the tone.
Agreed.
Right, because
They
we'll
set the
sit there and
tone, yeah.
can I say Clive Davis? I don't know, but if not, beep it out. My point is, there's a lot of people who look at the behavior in the music industry and say, well, he.
why did he get away with it and I can't get away with shit?
How's he there?
I've been asking Clive questions for years. So, I mean,
I think it's just a good old boys club. I think
Yep.
that society in itself, again, outside of the music business, outside of finance, my nigga, look at the presidency and what they saying. All of the shit, it tracks. Like, they got him documented saying, yo, if Hillary Clinton did XYZ with Qatar, it's some bullshit. He just took a $400 million plane. They set the rules and they play by the rules that they want. So the money, power, respect is the mantra.
let me ask y'all a few things because we do have to close this and I do have to get to an ad. What do y'all think ends up happening to Kevin Liles?
Nothing.
I think he wins this. He painted a picture of somebody. He laid that out. Not to mention her drug history, her criminal history, her
Criminal
felony history,
record,
her
all of
drug
that shit.
distribution of heroin. I mean, it's going to be hard to convince people.
That this not a
To
money
simpa-
grab.
that you-
Yeah.
Not just that, unfortunately, and I fuck with Luck, Jersey.
Yeah, she not big enough. She not big enough.
They don't care about the victim enough.
Yeah.
And that's really what happens in a lot of these cases.
People go looking for perfect victims, and there very rarely is one.
Not
but
even
she's-
necessarily perfect.
Her cachet ain't big enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we give a fuck enough?
She's not a
About-
sympathetic enough figure
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
It's true.
And again, I'm not saying she's lying. I'm just saying
Right.
I don't think she wins this.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Agreed. I agree with that.
God damn.
Listen.
But you feel we're cynical at this point?
What's for cynical?
No, cynical.
Cynical.
Oh. Am I feeling cynical?
No. Was that the goddamn?
Oh,
Because-
yeah. I mean, a little bit. I mean,
I-
just how it sounds.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's hard not to be cynical at this point. You know, social media and just like the barrage of information that we get, you know, as it relates to things like this, after a while, it desensitizes you.
So we're going to flip-flop on when. All right.
It's not
Yeah.
not flip
We're
flopping.
flip-flopping on when our cynicism kicks in. We are. I'm too sick to talk about it. But
Me too.
We are.
Me too.
You t- I know I'm confused.
I don't see it. I think it feels to me like y'all are equating a prediction that this isn't going to work out well with a kind of endorsement that it's not going to work out well. Like,
No, I didn't have a problem with where y'all left that.
Okay.
When Mel took it further, hearing that piece.
Oh, okay. You said y'all, I got confused. Okay, got you.
With the cynicism?
Yeah. It's like selective cynicism.
Sure, maybe. Maybe a little bit.
Not for me. I rarely believe things are gonna work out well. I support victims, and I still don't believe they.
Do y'all think she's gonna get paid a settlement?
I think she will.
I think she'll get
Let's do
something.
that.
I think she'll
Let's
get
do that.
some. I think she'll get a very small amount.
But that is where my cynicism comes
I
from,
don't
Mark.
think so now.
I don't think so.
I don't think so now.
I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's looking to even try
I
to
think he's
settle.
gonna follow the Jay-Z trend,
Yeah.
and be like, no, I'm gonna fight it all the way. Number one, you broke, and again, no disrespect to Luck, I'll fuck with her, like Big Jersey, but you broke. You can't remotely get the attorney power team that I could muster up. I think it's gonna set. We got to stop this. Let's say he's innocent. If he's innocent, if he's innocent, I think it behooves him to fight it all the way.
Agree.
You get what I'm saying? Now, if he's not innocent, that's another story. But if he is
What about
innocent,
the lawyer fees and shit though? At some point you got to be practical. Hove was like, I will burn money just to make the point.
Kevin-
All of us can't afford to do that.
Kevin Lyles can afford way higher attorneys than Lady Luck.
That's fair. Keep in mind also the Def Jam is being sued too though. So they may actually have an investment in saying, I don't want to be smeared. I don't want it to be said that we built this. I'm just saying there's a few angles to be played here. That it wouldn't shock me if they came to right now and said, we got $250 for you. She might have to just take that. And it wouldn't shock. That's what I mean by small amount. It wouldn't shock me if she just took it. And that's my prediction. I think
NDA
that's
for
what's going to happen.
$100,000.
Take 250 grand and shut up.
Shut
Yeah,
up.
that's what I think is
then
gonna happen.
You will spend $250,000 in lawyer fees easily.
Easy.
So
Right.
$500,000 to shut your ass up and go away. It's possible.
That's what I
That's
think is
possible.
going to happen.
No, that's possible.
Yeah, it's time for some TMP.
Yeah.
Yeah, little
It's time to
T's.
just hit him with some TM thoughts
T-
and prayers.
T's and
Thoughts
P's,
prayers,
baby.
man.
Thoughts and prayers for all parties involved. We'll keep you updated as we're updated.
Sure.